What is going on, everybody? My name is NGS and thank you so much for clicking on the video. Welcome back to another installment of Ask Neo. For those of you guys who are tuning in for the very first time, Ask Neo is my Q&A series where I accept questions from you, the viewers. And this one in particular, well, it's actually been a long time since I've done a Q&A video. I think the last one we did was during Veda last year, vlog every day in April. So it's around the right time frame, I guess, to pump out another one outside of the various live streams I do where I answer questions. But this one's kind of special since we actually hit a couple of milestones across all social medias, YouTubes, what have you. First and foremost, we surpassed 3,000 followers on Twitter, and that's where the bulk of these questions are coming from. So it's really awesome that I'm somewhat interesting on Twitter to the point where people want to follow me, so that's very good. And the second one is that we recently hit over 25,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Now, y'all know me, I've been on YouTube for a very long time. Old school subscribers of NGS will know we started this thing back in, 2008 was the first time I appeared on camera. And since then, it's been a crazy ride. We've had a lot of ups, a lot of downs, periods where we'd upload 4 or 5 videos a week, and sometimes where we wouldn't put out a video for 4 or 5 weeks. So it's pretty crazy, but hey, that's what happens when you deal with this thing called life. You gotta take the good and you gotta take the bad as well as the lazy, which you can classify as bad. I don't know. So regardless of that, we are going to dive straight into this Twitter Q&A. There are a lot of questions. I'm going to try my best to go through them in a timely manner. Don't want to spend too much time on each one. I'm going to be going until I run out of beverages, which is this vintage seltzer water. Old school fans of NGS will know vintage is my drink of choice. And yeah, here we go. Diving into the first question. Now, this one here is not the first one I received, but it's kind of like one of the ones that you just want to open with it with a bang, and this is a really good one. This one comes from the resident troll of Twitter, NilerTube. He asks, do you think there will be a Winnie the Pooh world in Kingdom Hearts 3? Now, to fully understand this question, the best way that I could describe this is that you are a fan of Twitter. If you know why he's asking me this question. If you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/NeoGameSpark, the name should be right there down below, you will know why he asked this question. Outside of the fact that Niall is a fuckboy, but that's regardless of the point, there was something that happened recently. I want to say a couple weeks to 2 months ago. Basically, we learned some news for Kingdom Hearts 3, right? And anytime we hear something about Kingdom Hearts 3, fans, we just rejoice because this is a game that, they'll post out a new trailer and then it'll just be a drought for information. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 months. We always like hyping up E3 or TGS or what have you, just praying that they say something. So we learned some news about Kingdom Hearts 3, and a lot of people were tagging me in the article. They're like, yo, Neo, new information about Kingdom Hearts 3. New information about Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm like, oh, snap. We about to hear something about Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, what is it? A new world reveal? Is this going to be the start of something new where they reveal, like, a new thing every other month? No. We learned that Winnie the Pooh was going to be making an appearance in Kingdom Hearts 3. If it was just that, it wouldn't matter. No. It's what I saw on Twitter, that the straw that broke the camel's back. There are people out here hyped for Winnie the Pooh in Kingdom Hearts 3. Not only that, but there were dudes over here saying, yo, can you make a video on Winnie the Pooh being confirmed in Kingdom Hearts 3? I need this news update, bro. There are people who, I ain't gonna say any names, y'all know who you are. There are people out here who are doing 4, 5, 6 minute long videos talking about Winnie the Pooh in Kingdom Hearts 3. Winnie the goddamn Pooh in Kingdom Hearts 3. This is not a case of, oh, Winnie the Pooh is kitty, you shouldn't be talking about it. No. This is literally something that was so gosh darn expected. And yet we have people hyping it up. Why? Why are you hyping it up? I need to understand the thought process behind it. I ain't saying you can't do any videos that you want to do, but you have a responsibility apparently. You over here talking about Winnie the Pooh being confirmed. Is it a slow news day or what? What is it? I don't know. Just me, myself, and I, any self-respecting man shouldn't be doing a video about Winnie the Pooh being confirmed in anything. Anything. Ugh, thank you for the question, Niall. And by the way, if I butcher anybody's names, apologies, but it kind of comes with the territory. I'm one man. I am human, after all. This one comes from Another person who frequents my Twitter a lot. We engage in some healthy discussion from time to time. This is from Civil Warfare 101. His question is, what is your favorite game of all time? Man. You know, I don't want to give the politically correct answer, the answer that everybody who's put on the spot will give, but the more and more I play video games, the more and more I play new stuff, old stuff, revisiting classics, it's kind of hard for me to pick a favorite game of all time. Mainly because, like I find ways to justify my backlog, I find ways to justify not picking one particular game. Because there are a lot of games that I love to play, and I think they're my favorites for different reasons. There are games that I've put, tons and tons and tons of hours into, like Call of Duty World at War. I've played that bitch almost 1,000 hours. Nazi Zombies was for real. Summer of 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, y'all already know. We played that shit all the time, even when the new ones came out. Thumbs up, down below, comment if you about that Nazi Zombies life. OG Nazi Zombies life. And then there are games that I really, really do love that are just phenomenal, fantastic experiences that I only play once every couple of years. Something like The Last of Us. The Last of Us isn't really a game that, there's multiplayer, sure, you can play that. But it's not a game that I'm going to be playing every gosh darn year. It's something that I want to experience every couple of years. So how does that justify your favorite game? It's hard for me, and I know people have their different metrics of how they do things, and I understand that. But for me, it's just like I gotta have a list of a ton of games. Like, I can't even do a top 10 list because there's not going to be a number 10 that is better than number 1 for me. It's just every game that I really do love, I love them as number 1 for different reasons. I guess I'm growing older. I'm like a parent who says, I love all of my kids equally. If you have siblings and your parents have told you that before, unless your parent is true hardcore and they don't care, they've said they love them all for different reasons. It's hard for me, but hey, at least I admit it. Thank you for the question, by the way, Civil Warfare. All right, this one right here comes from a very close friend of mine, someone who I went to high school with, and he actually just opened up his own YouTube channel. You might have seen me shout him out a couple of times. This one comes from Jorge, also known as the Latino Nerd. He asks, how did you come up with the name NeoGameSpark? Now, this is going to be a question I think I'm going to be answering till the end of gosh darn time because I get it at least once a Q&A. People want to know, what does NGS mean? What does it stand for, man? So, this is going to be the annual update of why I named my channel such. So grab your popcorn, grab your drink of choice. Let's go. So, the story of NeoGameSpark actually predates this channel. For a lot of the old guys in the room, you would know that this is not the first channel I've ever had on YouTube. This is not even the first channel I've ever done videos on. I started out on YouTube in 2005, 2006 with the name Conan. That name comes from the anime show Naruto. There was a character called Rock Lee who would open up these things called gates, and each gate had a different name. Gate of joy, gate of pain, gate of life. I was a really, 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 really wee little Narutard, and I loved the way it sounded in Japanese. Actually, I think I named myself this before they actually came out with the English translation, so we were about that fan sub life back in the day. I called it Kumon, which was the gate of something, because it sounded so cool. And though both those channels actually ended up getting deleted because I uploaded a lot of Naruto video game footage, and this is back in the day where that was considered taboo. Video game footage on the internet was just like, no, you can't have this on the internet because that's like piracy, man. They're over here, they're going to steal our content. Which, realistically now, people realize that it wasn't piracy, it was just free advertising for the game. YouTube 2006 is so different from YouTube of 2016. Thankfully, a lot of people caught on to the fact that video games are a huge thing. So, I needed to come up with a new channel name as a backup, just in case Kumon 2 got deleted, since I already had one channel that got the boot. So I wanted to name this something that would really describe my channel, something that I would be doing. Like, how they have these websites that are acronyms that stand for certain things. I wanted something like that for myself. So I came up with the name GameSpark. I wanted to make a video game show, something similar to G4, all those game shows that would have like these new segments. They'd be like 30 minutes, 60 minutes. They would have reviews. They'd have roundtable discussions. Like, I used to love watching that stuff as a kid. And this was around the time where G4 started to sink. So I was like, yo, I'm about to capitalize this. I was like a 13-year-old Neo who's trying to make some movements out here. And unfortunately, the name GameSpark was already taken in the database because this is when YouTube started to come up on the rise and people were taking all the obscenely weird names. So instead of putting stuff like XXX or 123 or such and such, I wanted to put something in front of it that sounded interesting. I guess I was watching The Matrix at the time and I heard the name Neo, so I'm like, hey, Neo, let's use that in the name. It was either that or YouTube auto-recommended something, because I didn't want to do Mr. GameSpark or something like that. So I chose NeoGameSpark, and basically the rest is history. I have been using this name ever since. It's on my Twitter, it's on my Facebook, it's on YouTube. Just basically almost every account that I have, save for my PSN and Xbox Live, has the name NeoGameSpark in it. It's a name that really, to this channel, it holds no meaning since I never did get the GameSpark show off the ground. But it's a nice nickname that people call me. If they don't call me NGS, they call me Neo, or they call me GameSpark. So it's just something nice. But that is the origin of NeoGameSpark, Jorge. And I'm going to take this time to take a quick sip of water. All right. What are we, about 11 minutes in? Sweet. This question comes from Showbiz54. He actually has a two-parter. First part is, are you going to buy One Piece Burning Blood? Second, should Square continue to make classic-style RPG games from consoles, similar to I Am Setsuna? So I'll take your first question. I'm going to buy the new One Piece game. I believe it just dropped in Japan not too long ago, and it's coming out in the States, I believe, early summer. To answer your question, I'm probably not going to, because I've kind of outgrown the phase of me spending full price on anime titles. Now, y'all might remember, growing up, back in the day, I was the dude who was buying all the anime games day one. I was buying almost every Dragon Ball Z title. I was buying almost every Naruto game, mainly because those were the two that were really putting out titles since they were popular. But once I turned like 14, 15, 16, I kind of waned off of that and realized that, bro, this is not cost effective for you, and a lot of these games you end up beating within 12 hours. So unless they were something that I could play with friends, like the Clash of Ninja series, Ultimate Ninja, or Budokai, I kind of stayed away from it for good reasons. And a lot of those games really weren't that great to begin with. Like I said, outside of a few examples, most of them were just shovelware trash. But hey, it was a phase of life that we all went through. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Heck, I've even done reviews of those shovelware trashes, like Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles. Y'all remember that? Comment down below if you remember watching my Uzumaki Chronicles review. Devin, I know you're gonna post the meme on my Facebook page, dude, don't touch my ramen. So here's the updated version for it. I don't even know if it's like right, but you're gonna meme it anyway. I don't know. I should probably remake that image, and he's gonna go crazy with it and create another Neo meme. But yeah, I haven't really been interested in too many games, because once Bleach and Naruto started to get more games outside of Japan, that was when I was really waning myself off of them. I mean, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Generations, I think the first Storm game that I was kind of uneasy about. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna buy this one day one, guys. It don't seem like it's worth it. And I didn't buy the game day one. I don't even have Generations. I talked about it a lot, but I didn't end up purchasing it. And that's the same thing for the Bleach games that got released over here and One Piece. I mean, I know the games have their fans and people enjoy the Muso titles, but since this is something different, they're hoping it attracts a lot more people. We'll have to see. I'll probably pick it up when it comes on a discount on PlayStation Network. That's what I've been seeing a lot. They have a lot of Japanese-related video game sales. They have Anime Weekend every couple of months. They just had their Golden Sale. So, am I buying it day one? No. Mainly because I don't even buy games day one. I mean, the last time I bought a game day one for $60, oh my god. I don't even think I have, because Gamer Club Unlocked, you get that stuff for like $47. So, I don't know. Second question is, should Square continue to make classic-style RPG games for consoles? To be honest, if the games are good, I see no problem with it. Like I've stated numerous times before, like Blackmon has stated, like a lot of people out here who are hardcore classics fans of Square, they will tell you that this company is, it's just, they're a fragment of what they used to be. And I know a lot of people are going to come up here and say, well, they have Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy's making a comeback. Listen, there's a difference between a person who's a fan of Square titles and a person who loves Final Fantasy, mainly Final Fantasy VII. The amount of quality titles, interesting titles, unique titles, different titles that they were pumping out back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, compared to what we got now, like this generation in particular, the only, not even this generation, last generation in particular, the only Square Enix game that I fell absolutely in love with, and I could say that this is without a doubt a defining experience for a generation, was The World Ends With You. one game. Everything else was either okay at best or wow, this shiz really sucked. I don't even want to count stuff like Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts is its own beast. They're not going to screw with that. I mean, sure, they do a lot of side stuff here and there, mobile phone games and all that crap, but they know not to screw with Kingdom Hearts. I'm talking about the original interesting franchises that they can get off the ground. They haven't really been giving us that stuff. So that's why I'm banking on things like I Am Setsuna and Dragon Quest XI. I'm really hoping Dragon Quest XI is as good as I want it to be, because that's a series that they've just, outside of Japan anyways, they've just closed the door on us. It don't even matter what we have to say. So the fact that we're getting 11, 7, and 8 on the 3DS, that's good for me. I'm definitely going to be picking those up because I love Dragon Quest, and I'm like, hey, Square, put out more games in these series that are actually good instead of friggin' side spin-off prequel shiz. I don't know. But if the games are good on the consoles, that's what I want to see. Because handhelds, yeah, they have their successes with Bravely Default and what have you. But I hope that they could return to the console scene. I know console games are expensive, but let's be honest here. The amount of resources that a Japanese developer puts into their game compared to what people over here in the West do is minuscule, to say the least. I mean, look at the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. They're like, what, on their 18th game or something? I mean, the Atelier series, there's so many franchises over there in Japan that get localizations here, yet they stay profitable. Why? Because they manage their expectations. They don't have to spend 10 years working on a game and focusing on the grains of asphalt shots fired at Tetsuya Nomura and the entire team on Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, just focus on the quality of games and let us worry about the visuals later. Like, just, I don't know. But the answer is yes. If they're good, I'll support them. Who is your favorite Superman writer? And this comes from Civil Warfare 101. Oh, man. In terms of Superman comics, the one that I hold very near and dear to my heart more than anybody would be John Byrne. John Byrne's run on Superman to this day is my favorite reboot for a character. Because Superman, for the longest time, heck, it's kind of funny nowadays how people consider Superman the big blue Boy Scout in the sky. You can't possibly humanize this person who has the power of a god. Like, how are you going to make him believable and relatable? John Byrne did that at a time where people didn't really get Superman, and I loved him for that because he opened up whole new realms of possibilities for development with the character, and we saw that. He scaled him back a bit in power. He made him more, I wouldn't say realistic, but made it more manageable, to say the least. We got to learn a lot about Clark Kent and who he was. And then from there, it was really, really uphill for Superman. I mean, I loved what they were taking with the character in the 80s and the early 90s. There were a lot of great stories with him. But I think John Byrne's Man of Steel reboot was the one that really hit home with me, mainly because it made me a fan of the character, and I think it made a fan of a lot of people with the character from a more personal, realistic side of things, as opposed to, oh wow, look at this man in the sky, he just punched this dude out, shit's happening on screen. So yeah, there's a lot of writers out there, but John Byrne, Jerry Conway had a good run on Superman, on some other writers here and there who I like pieces of their works, but mainly John Byrne. All right, this question comes from L. Roosevelt 14. Who's your favorite character in all of Kingdom Hearts? Now, like the video game question, this one kind of it rotates back and forth. You know, I have a favorite character one week, but then I replay a game and I'm like, oh, you so awesome, I love you. But if I had to pick a character who I value more than anybody in that series, it would have to be Riku. Riku's story in Kingdom Hearts is how the best way you can handle jealousy, betrayal, redemption. Like that is like the closest thing that we have to Star Wars in video games. Like the whole, you know, the power of the dark side, it's so alluring to you and you actually get consumed by it, but you realize that you have to keep hope alive. You know, you have to use the power of the light and darkness, and how he was able to balance both of them, but there's always that temptation, that pull to the dark side. Like, I loved, friggin' loved Riku's story more than anything. Sora is more like a plot device for anything to tell the story about Riku. Riku's story is just beautiful, and when he finally had his redemption in Kingdom Hearts 2, when you actually see him, you know, you just love what's happening there, but then you realize that's not the end of his story, because it continues in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Like, Riku's story is how it should have been done in Naruto. Friggin' Sasuke over here bitching like no tomorrow. It's just, nah. So, you know what's actually funny? now that I think about it, if we're taking shots at other things, Riku's story was handled better than friggin' Anakin in the Star Wars prequels. Let that sink in. Let it sink in. Ugh. But I love Riku. I also love Roxas as well from his introduction. I love what he was going through, how he had to realize that, you know, he's basically not his own self. He's part of somebody. Loved his story. Of course, Axel. You gotta love Axel. I mean, come on now, got it memorized. I also love the story of the three protagonists in Birth by Sleep. Terra, Ven, and Aqua. They all go through some deep and personal shiz. That is why Birth by Sleep is my favorite game in the series. Because of that damn story. Birth by Sleep, Birth by Feels, Birth by Depression. No happy endings in that game. And if y'all have played the game, you understand why. Aqua, we'll see you soon. Okay, but thank you for the question, by the way. All right, next one comes from Lauren Gaming. How big is that game backlog now? Good luck counting, mate. Well, you know, this backlog, are we talking physical or digital? Because the way it's set up, it'd be better if we exclude the digital stuff on PC, on PS4, PS3, 3DS, because, oh man, we'll be here all day. But it's pretty large to say the least, and I've poked fun at myself on numerous occasions that I'm never going to finish my backlog because there's too many games for me to play. Like, I game hop from one thing to another when I get bored of something, and then someone says, oh, let's hop on this, and we play it for a couple of days together. I can't just focus on one thing. But what I think I'm going to do going forward in the future is actually focus on one game and don't play anything else. Like, just hone in on this, forget every other game that's coming out. Like, unless it is a high-profile exclusive like Uncharted 4, unless it is a high-profile game I've been waiting for 16 years like Persona 5, I'm not touching any other game that comes out. No game that's like, oh, it might be fun, play with the friends. No, screw that noise. We're going to be working on the backlog. I might do a backlog summer challenge. I think that'd be something really cool that we can get the community chimed in on and actually work to achieve finishing our games. But yeah, summer backlog challenge, we might do it. Comment down below if you want to see that. All right, this next question also comes from L. Roosevelt 14. Why do you like Superman? I find him a little boring. And are you going to buy the new God Eater games for PS4 and the new Tales title in 2017? The reason why I find Superman really interesting is because of where I got started with the character. Similar to what Civil Warfare was asking, Superman, they really humanized the character in John Byrne's One, or there could only be one, the one ring to rule them all. I don't know where I'm going with this. But they really humanized Superman. And they really made him relatable and emotional and actually did just that. It's not like all of these Hollywood movies nowadays where they're like, we gotta make the villain real. We gotta make him relatable. Nah, fam. They actually did that with his character. I love what he stood for. I love the fact that he was an outsider. And when he came to this planet, he was brought up to be a human, even though he was from another world. I loved that character dynamic. I just love what he went through. It's why I really hold Man of Steel in such high regards, because I think they captured, you know, the struggle of maybe you should do something. Is it the right thing or not? Like, I just think that was always a great part of Superman. And as he got older and older into his career, I just love that he was able to find romance with Lois. I love the struggles that he went through, finding the other characters, just being this symbol of hope. It's not something that he just wore on his chest. No, he actually earned that, and he helped to inspire people with that. He's not just this dude who has his hands on his hips and goes, oh, we must do good and this and that. No, he's a very deep, rich, and complex character, which people do not give him credit for, mainly because they're either reading the really bad stuff or they're listening to the memes. Like, Superman's got depth to him. It just sucks that Warner Brothers and DC do not understand that. Okay. The next one is, are you going to buy the new God Eater games? Yes, I am going to buy them. Depending on how I am in my backlog challenge, I might wait a little bit, but I know I am going to pick the games up to support them. I believe they're coming out in the States this summer. Am I going to buy the new Tales game coming out in 2017? Yes, actually, I am. That's Tales of Berseria. It kind of sucks that they pushed it all the way back, because I assume that when they announced the localization, they meant we're getting it within the, a couple of weeks, but I guess it takes longer to localize these games more than anything. Which is good, I guess, if you want to give the generic, oh, well, it gives me time to play all these other games excuse. But I really do wish that it came out this year. But to be honest, like, oh boy, here we go. Berseria better be the Tales game. that I've been waiting for, because Asteria, it really put a bad taste in my mouth, right? And I just think that this should be the game to reintroduce a lot of people into the series, because, you know, Tales has been kind of slipping. Like, not to say that, you know, people have been sleeping on the games, but, you know, we really need that title to elevate the series to the next level, to take it out of the niche territory, you know? The Xillia games were great, but, you know, they were great in certain aspects. Same thing with Asteria. It was overall an game, but there was good in certain aspects, you know? We got to combine all those aspects together and, you know, put out this great Tales game. Like, I think it needs to be done. But, you know, they're nailing some good things. 60 frames per second. I don't know if they introduced the seamless combat that they had in Zestiria or not. But, you know, I really want them to elevate it, like, to the next level sort of thing, you know? Because Lord knows we need that. But we'll see. All right, next one comes from another one of my friends. He also has a YouTube channel as well. His channel is Excessive Warlock. He asks, do you ever tease it? Oh boy, another inside joke. It depends. What am I teasing? I don't know. This one comes from Skyward King. Which is better, Iron Man 3 or Batman vs. Superman? The comic book fanboy inside me wants to come out and actually break down why this movie's better than that one, but I will go with Iron Man 3. Why? Because Iron Man actually got his own sequel. Yeah. Alrighty. This one comes from Will3316. Any favorite anime? Mine are Fate Zero, Full Metal Alchemist 2003. Oh god, wow. Favorite? And Black Lagoon. I might as well touch on this because people are gonna comment below. Why'd you do that, man? Why'd you say Full Metal Alchemist 03 ain't great? Listen, Brotherhood exists. That's why Full Metal Alchemist 03 is not that great. But to answer your question, some of my favorite anime, of course, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is GOAT as all hell. I love Dragon Ball Z Kai. I will not go back to watching Dragon Ball 16 episodes to power up Z. Man, a lot of things in my collection I love. Steins Gate. I love Detective Conan just because I can put on an episode, watch it, enjoy it. That thing ain't finishing in my lifetime, but hey, it's worth mentioning. Digimon Tamers is my favorite series in the Digimon fandom, I guess. There's so many awesome series. I really enjoyed Romeo x Juliet. One Piece is good. I know these are all like generic shonen mainstream titles, but I mean there's a ton of anime, and there's a lot of stuff that I watched on Crunchyroll that I cannot recall for the life of me. But yeah, there's a ton of good stuff out there, and I've talked about them on Twitter, but I just can't remember them because I've been put on the spot. I know, generic response, but hey, at least I'm admitting to it. All right. The next couple questions come from Civil Warfare 101. I guess he's taking advantage of the fact that I said no holds barred. Go ahead and answer all the questions. What era of gaming is your favorite? Era of gaming. If we're talking specifically, are we going like by 8-bit, 16-bit sort of thing, or are we talking generations? To be honest, my favorite generation of gaming, it's a tie between the 5th generation and 6th generation. Like, that period in gaming was really, really good for me because it's when I started to get into gaming, I don't want to say competitive, but it's where I actually started to give a damn about things. I started playing games for more than 5 minutes at a time. I played a lot of Japanese RPGs then. As we got into the 6th generation of gaming, that's when I played Kingdom Hearts, and then I went through like the enhanced edition. I got into like the expansive backlog of other Square titles. So for me, it's somewhere between the 5th and the 6th generation. There were a lot of really, really amazing games that came out there. A lot of games that you would have never expect to happen. But, you know, like I said, there was that big boom in Japanese titles that brought over a lot of games that you would have never expect. Not just JRPGs, but a lot of the weird, quirky music titles. And just, yeah, 5th and 6th generation, I guess, is going to be my favorite one. But I find that there's always something good in every generation. Like, if you talk to a lot of the older crowd, they like the, 2nd, 3rd generation of gaming. If you talk to the newer crowd, they love 7th gen. Each generation has their good thing. I mean, you got to take the good and the bad with it. So it's like, what ifs. Okay, what are the movies you must see if you consider yourself a film fan? Again, that's pretty subjective because then you get into a case of elitism, and not a lot of people are really trying to do that. I mean, some people are like, oh, you have to see X, Y, and Z if you consider yourself a fan of movies. To be honest, like I just say watch all the greats, not because you need to call yourself a fan of them, but just to see how far we've come in filmmaking. And a lot of the things that we have nowadays, people take for granted didn't exist back then. If you do like film, there's a lot of really great documentaries that go through all these films and the behind the scenes of how they were made. But I don't really have a list per se of things that you need to see to call yourself a fan. I know someone's going to say 2001 A Space Odyssey, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. You got to see Citizen Kane. To me, it's just watch movies, enjoy them. But if you want to get into the whole historian sort of thing, like if you want to make it your career to be a film historian, then yeah, that's when you're going to have to start watching all the movies. Okay. The next bunch of questions come from L. Roosevelt. Oh my god, man, so many of these. Okay, where do we start here? Alright, so, why do you have a preference towards redheads, and why is Chie your best girl in Persona series? Have you played any other games in the franchise? And, oh man, this is worded kind of awkwardly. But yeah, it boils down to, why are redheads your favorite? Why is Chie best girl, and have you played any other girls in the Persona series? Okay, first answer, why do you like redheads? I don't know, there's just something about girls with red hair. It's like my kryptonite. I get weak when I see a really good looking female who has nice red hair. I'm not talking about some of this Kool-Aid stuff you be seeing these teenagers and really crusty ass people having in their hair. I'm talking like a really legit good looking redhead. That's just, for me, it's kind of like my kryptonite. I like that, and if she's got green eyes and good smile, you know, that sort of thing, it's pretty cool. And I'm going to get this on the table because someone's going to comment it. Yes, it's because I like Mary Jane Watson. All right. Hey, there you go. There you freaking go. There you go. Trying to live out my fantasy of being Spider-Man. Let me have this. Why is Chie best girl? Chie is best girl for many things. First and foremost, she has a great appetite. I love a woman who can eat some food. She's also best girl because she knows how to hold herself. She knows how to kick the crap out of people when they're coming up against her. I love how she's kind of not afraid to be herself, but at the same time, she kind of understands that she is somewhat weird and outgoing and not ladylike. But, you know, I love that about Chie. I love how she's so confident with that. And, yeah, she's just, I don't know, she's adorable, man. That's why she's best girl. You know, I don't care about all these people saying, yo, Team Yukiko. Team Yukiko is this. All right, we can have a healthy discussion on Team Chie and Team Yukiko. But when I see a dude coming in here saying, yo, Rise is best girl, I went with Naoto. First off, Naoto is Kanji's girl. That is canon. Stop trying to mess with the canon, George Lucas mofos. Third, Rise is a thought. Rise is a little girl. She doesn't know what she wants. So how are y'all over here taking advantage of this 15-year-old girl? She doesn't know anything. Her whole life has been stardom. So you over here trying to be Mr. Suave, or some of y'all females, I know you romanced Rise as well. Nah. Take a girl that you know what she's all about and not deal with Rise. Nah. That is why Chie is best girl. Okay. What other Persona games have you played? Basically the whole lot of them. I started out with Persona 4 as my first game that I played a chunk of. Played Persona 3, 2, not really too much of the first one, to be honest. I'm just going to get that on the table. And I played all the various side titles like Persona Q, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, begrudgingly. And then there's all the other games in the Shin Megami Tensei series. I have Shin Megami Tensei 4. I'll probably pick up the new one as well. But yeah, Persona is a very expansive series, but to be honest, if you're a fan of the franchise, playing these games, they're just so friggin' different. Only Persona 3 and 4 I would put in the same category. If you play Persona 4 and you're like, yo, I want to see what the series was like in the beginning, you load up Persona 1, it's just like, well, that's literally the response you could have. Okay. But thank you for the questions, by the way. This one comes from Sigma Wolf X. What is your favorite Persona game and why? Oh god, more Persona questions. Also, what do you think of the new Dishonored game that was announced? Okay, favorite Persona game and why? Obviously, my favorite Persona game, if you guys can tell, is Persona 4. I like all the ones in the series that I have played, but Persona 4 is the one that I hold very near dear to my heart. Persona 3 is also very good as well. I know. Casual answer. What do you think of the new Dishonored game? I'm actually glad they're doing a Dishonored because I like the first Dishonored from what I played, which was a couple of hours. I like the fact that there's 2 playable characters, and apparently they're supposed to be so vast and different and unique in their play style, so that's very good. They're not just putting in a female just because. So, yeah, new Dishonored game. I probably won't get it day 1, but, you know, I still have the first one that I can go through. Okay, oh boy! We're the three in a row. How did you get into Persona? Okay, this is how I got into Persona for those wondering. My boy June, this is back like, oh my god, years ago. I don't know if it was 6-7 years ago, but my boy June and I were talking on Xbox, and he was like, yo, Chris, you ever heard of the Persona series? And back then I was like, Persona? Yeah, I've heard of it. You know, not really touching much. And he was like, yo, you should really check this series out at some point. And I'm like, oh, I. And I started playing Persona 4, and, you know, it really wasn't clicking for me at first, because, you know, it's the classic JRPG syndrome. But then I started playing more and more of it. Actually, what's it called? I bought the PS2 game off of Amazon, and I started playing through that. And I'm like, yo, this shit is friggin' dope, man. And then when they came out with, when I got my PC, I actually emulated it, and I posted a screenshot of it on Facebook, and that's where a lot of people are like, yo, what is this Persona game? And I'm like, yo, man, this is a really dope, awesome game. Then Golden came out, and everyone who had a Vita bought it and loved it, so it's like, yay! But yeah, that's how I got into Persona. It was by a recommendation of my friend June. He said, check out the series, and I'm like, okay, but it took some other people to really, I guess, push me into it. Like, you gotta play this, man. I'm like, okay. Okay, this one comes from Matthew C2120. What is something you want to see adapted perfectly, and what medium would it be in? Oh man, this is actually a pretty tough question. Because there's a lot of things I would love to see, and then it gets really tough because you can choose the medium that you want. More often than not, we're kind of stuck with one or the other. Like, if it's a book or something, we're more often than not going to see it as a movie. Very rarely does it get adapted as a TV series, so that way you can stretch things out. But to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing some of the Tom Clancy books get done as actual movies or TV series. I think that they would lend themselves well, especially considering the Tom Clancy name is not really being used well considering the games that are coming out. So I think something deeper and more rich we could get from that. I would love to see IDW's run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles done as a animated series. Put that shiz on Adult Swim. I think a lot of people would like it. I know a lot of people are thinking to yourselves, yo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Adult Swim? Are you serious? No. Read IDW's run. That is a very, very good series. But more than anything, I think I have a legitimate answer to this. More than anything, what I would love to see would be Fables. Now, some of you guys might not know what Fables is, but you actually might be aware of it if you played one game and one game in particular. The Wolf Among Us. The Wolf Among Us from Telltale is actually a prequel video game to the Fables comic. And this is something that's been approved by the creator. It was a canon prequel that if you play this game all the way to the end, you can jump right into the Fable comics. And they actually just finished up Fables last year. I would love to see that done as a Netflix series, because Netflix has just been taking off with all these things like House of Cards and Daredevil, Jessica Jones, that I think Fables would be a great place for it. Because one of the main things that has kind of stopped Fables from getting done as an adaptation is that there were too many of these storybook TV series. Like, you had Once Upon a Time, you had like all these shows that were doing things like Beauty and the Beast and Sleeping Beauty and those kind of stories for TV. But the difference with Fables is that Fables, unlike those, doesn't suck. Like, all the things that people talk about, like Once Upon a Time, like, really? Okay, Fables is actually deep, rich, and interesting. It's a crime drama, so I think that could appeal to a lot of people, and especially considering Netflix is trying to bring in new types of genres in there. Like, come on, man, Fables would work. I would love it as a TV series. You can get multiple seasons, stretch it across the entire comic run, and I think it would be better than banking on a 2-hour movie. Like, it lends itself so well to Netflix. And if you guys haven't checked out Fables, go check it out. They have the omnibuses on Amazon, so you can start there. But if you love The Wolf Among Us and you want to see what happens after that, Fables. Okay. All right. This one comes from Trenton Brown. What is it about Dan Slott's Spider-Man run that you do not enjoy, and what would you do for a modern-day adult Spidey story? Okay, I've been vocal on numerous occasions of how much I dislike Dan Slott's work on Spider-Man. I think that it's kind of unanimous that Dan Slott is not a good fit for Spider-Man. He's been working on Spider-Man for, oh my god, over 5-6 years at this point. He just does not understand the character. The stuff that he's been doing, not good at all. of course, you have him killing off Peter Parker for no reason other than the fact that, hey, we want to sell books and make Dr. Otto Octavius Spider-Man, Spider-Ock, yay! Really. Combine that with the fact that he's basically devolved Peter into a 20-something-year-old man-child who's living on his own, living as the billionaire Tony Stark lifestyle. It's just, this is not Spider-Man. This is not good Spider-Man reading at all. So if Dan Slott was taken off the project, what would I do for modern day adult Spider-Man story? If I had full control, first and foremost, I'd bring him back to basics. I would get him out there doing what Spider-Man does. Second, I would bring back the marriage to Mary Jane. This is something that, this is why I say Marvel is only relevant with movies. I don't care about their comics because of what they keep doing to Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and all these other characters in the Marvel Universe. Let these characters grow up. Let Peter have his marriage. Regardless of what these people think, like Joe Quesada, people loved the fact that Peter was growing up. They loved the fact that he went from high school to college, that he met Mary Jane, that they got together, that they had a kid. They loved that stuff. Why? Because we related to Peter Parker. We related to Spider-Man. Not because, oh, he's this dude who can shoot webs like that. No, because he was so personal, and we can relate to him because we were looking at ourselves when we read Peter Parker's stories. He went through struggles. He didn't know if he could be able to pay the rent. He was struggling in school. He was trying to balance life and a relationship along with a job and being Spider-Man. That is insanely relatable stuff, and why Spider-Man is so good to this very day. That is why he's still selling. That is why people are excited for him in Civil War. And it's something that Dan Slott, Joe Quesada, all these people in charge at Marvel do not understand. You do not need to break up Spider-Man and Mary Jane to have him be a success, because he was doing perfectly fine living his life and being with Mary Jane. Everybody loved the fact that when they got married, it was a momentous occasion in the Marvel Universe. Everybody was happy. But no, they have to do all these things. They have to break Peter up with Mary Jane. They have to ruin his marriage. They have to bring back Gwen Stacy for the 50th time. Like, there's a reason why Spider-Man comics are crap. And there's a reason why people are saying that Miles Morales is better. Only by comparison. Because they're not doing as much messed up shiz that they are in Peter's comic. What happened to these great stories? What freaking happened? Alright. This next one comes from Idealistic Soul. This is kind of unconventional. It's not really a actual question, but he says he's too lazy to think of a real one, so I just want to remember to remind you to do whatever the fuck you want to do. 10 plus points to Gryffindor to whoever knows where that quote is from. It should be fairly obvious if you're over here on YouTube. Oh, man. Okay. This one comes from a good friend of mine known as Jace2Game. Any anime series you would like to see get relicensed or re-released? Ooh, oh man, what day is it? What series are we talking about? There's a ton of series that I would love to see come back into the mainstream. To be honest, the one thing off the top of my head that I want to see licensed, I want to see the Detective Conan movies make their way to the United States. Detective Conan hasn't really been selling well for Funimation. I know they've been trying to push it. They re-released it in box sets. They offered up all the episodes for free, but it's just not clicking with folks. I would love for them, if they're going to, just release the movies, because no one gives a shit about the anime. I mean, all the like 700, 800 episodes that they have, people don't care about that. What you can sell are the movies. The movies are legitimately good. They're great hour-and-a-half stories that you can show people who are fans of Detective Conan but don't want to sit through all these episodes. I understand that there are some occasional things that happen that move the story forward every 200 episodes, but they sum it up in the first 5 minutes, and if you want to, you can still read it up online. Like, oh, this is what this member of the black organization has done. I would love for them to do that. Maybe licensed by Discotech. Discotech's been bringing back a lot of anime series that have lost the license. They've lost the rights. They've been putting them out on DVD and Blu-ray. So just whatever Discotech is doing, to be honest, that's what I've been keeping my eye on for the longest time. They're doing a lot of good stuff. Some other series, though, ooh, I'm kind of drawing a blank. I know if we bring in Big on Anime on Twitter, like he could just list you like 30 billion thousand series that need to be relicensed or transferred to another company. But yeah, to answer my question, I'd love to see the Detective Conan movies. I would love to. There was actually, oh my god, what was this? I watched it on Crunchyroll. I loved it. It still hasn't gotten an official release. I don't know what it was for the life of me. I apologize. I just killed everybody's hopes and anticipations. All right. This one comes from XX Nike 0629, XX resident commenter here on YouTube's and Twitter as well. He's asking a question on the thoughts on PS4 Neo. Do you think it'll divide the gamers? And how do you feel about this generation of games being filled with remasters, reboots, and remakes? Well, the first part of that question about the PS4 Neo, I'm actually going to do a whole video on instead of talking about it here. But I'll answer your question about the remasters and stuff. For this gen in particular, a lot of people have noticed the fact that we're getting a lot of remasters. Like, we had The Last of Us remastered, we had The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD. There are rumors about a Batman Arkham collection coming out, the Nathan Drake collection, the Master Chief collection. We've had standalone remasters like Darksiders 2, what was the other one? Dishonored Definitive Edition. Like, this generation to a lot of people is feeling like more remasters instead of actual games. Well, here's the thing, okay? It's a very simple answer to this generation being filled with all these remasters. If you don't like it, don't buy it. That's it. That's the end of the discussion. Whether a lot of people feel like we're getting a lot of remasters or not, you can't escape the fact that there are reasons why these companies are doing them. First and foremost, it's cheaper for them to put out a remaster than an actual game. Actual game development takes anywhere from 24 months and beyond, and for them to do remaster can be done in a couple of months. It's very cheap and effective for them to do that. It's also a good way for them to reintroduce a game to the mass market, like Naughty Dog did with the Nathan Drake collection. A lot of people who haven't played Uncharted, they have a chance to play it now. A lot of people who bought a PS4 came from Xbox 360. So if they've never owned a PS3, they're seeing Uncharted 4, they don't know what's happening, boom, there's the collection. They can play this sort of thing. Like, there are so many reasons for them to do them. And to be honest, I don't care for them. I really don't care for the remasters, since if I like it, I'll buy it. If I don't, I don't buy it. I mean, of course, you can bring in the PC Master Race argument and say, well, these games are available on PC in 4K, 50 frames per second. Yes, we understand that. But these remasters are not catering to the PC crowd. I mean, sure, they'll release an updated version on PC, but it's not going to be their main focal point. Of course, if you have the powerful hardware, you can play it on PC, which is why some games, the remaster versions on PS4, I don't buy. Like Sleeping Dogs, I have it on PC. There's no reason for me to buy it on PS4. That's why I gave it away to my friend Walter. So yeah, it's just, these developers are not pushing resources away in order to do remasters. That's what a lot of people need to understand. Remasters are usually done by third-party groups. They're usually done by other studios, with the very few exceptions of them being done in-house, like Last of Us Remastered. Most of the time, they're done by different studios. They're contracted out because these developers are working on these 8th-gen games. And with these 8th-gen games coming out and getting delayed and everything, it's taken a long time for them to work on them. More than anticipated. So, remasters, it doesn't matter to me personally. If there's something great that I want, I will buy it. I mean, I have Gravity Rush Remastered, I have Tearaway, I have Metro, I have the Uncharted collection. I have like a lot of remasters here because these are games that either I've never played before or I want to experience again with the added frame rate bump and resolution bump. So yeah, it's just the thing. If you don't like it, don't buy it. These games are still coming out, albeit delayed. Alrighty. Again, this one comes from Nike. How do you feel about developers depending on firmware updates, patches, sometimes day one, instead of properly doing it? I definitely think that that's a crutch for developers to rely on that, but I guess it's just the sign of times on where we're going. When you have these games coming out that are meant to be supported as services, having these patches can really make or break the experience for them, because sometimes these patches fix games, yes, but sometimes they're adding in new modes and new updates to keep the longevity going live. I mean, like I mentioned before, I did a video last year where I was talking about how these developers shouldn't rely on these games, especially for single-player ones. Like, for something like Assassin's Creed Unity, unless they release a complete fixed version that has all the patches and DLC on there, that game is going to be outdated in a few years. That game is not going to be available on the PlayStation service forever. It's not going to be available. So when people who buy this game 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to play this game and they're going to get a buggy mess, a buggy experience, something that is not indicative of what the developers were going for. So to use that as a crutch, that is friggin' ridiculous. There are many factors that lead to this sort of thing. developers and their deadlines. Sometimes they don't get enough time. Sometimes they're, sloppy with their development and just don't care. So yeah, I mean, the more time you can spend in actually refining a game, the better. So that way you don't have to release 5-6 gigabyte day one patches. It's just, I mean, for some games it's understandable since they're meant to be supported in years upon years, but not every game is going to be supported for 5, 6, 7 years. You know what I'm saying? Like the way EA shuts down servers for things. Okay. This one comes from, oh man, the resident heckler of my backlog. Oh, buddy old pal K-Cube. Have you ever been to Ethiopia? And how's that backlog? Well, we already answered the backlog question, but if I've ever been to Ethiopia, no, I haven't. As many of you guys know or do not know, I am Ethiopian. Shocker. I've gotten that question a lot. Like, what ethnicity are you, dude? Are you Dominican? Are you, like from a part of Africa or something? Like, you don't look stereotypically black. And I'm like, what does stereotypically black look like? But no, I have not been to Ethiopia yet. I have not been to the motherland. It's definitely something I want to do. It's on my bucket list of things too, because I have family over there. But it's just never been in the cards, to be honest. Like, there are a lot more things that I do want to do in other places. I do want to travel. It's somewhere I am going to go eventually, but right now, I haven't, and I know I'm going to get a lot of the pro-blackery folk over here saying, well, you got to respect the motherland, man. You got to over there and educate yourself on African culture. I mean, mind you, these folks have never been to Africa either, but hey. Right. All right. This one comes from Arizzle RJ. Are you ever going to give your thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man 2? If you could do one thing in your life over, what would it be and why? As far as Amazing Spider-Man 2 goes, I've actually talked about that on podcasts. I've talked about that on live streams before. I know I've never done a review on it, but at this point it is kind of redundant for me to do a video on it, mainly because the franchise is over, it's done, it's dead, and we have Civil War to look forward to. That's one of the great things about being a Spider-Man fan, is because like you should never get too hell-bent on the fact that one iteration of character is gone and we don't have any more, because so long as they're telling good stories with this new character, it's for the best. Like, the day they announced that Spider-Man was going to be in the MCU, I was like, yo, this is awesome, sweet. Oh, Amazing Spider-Man 3 isn't going forward? Yo, Spider-Man in the MCU with Captain America, though. Like, it just, the good outweighs the bad. Would I have loved to see them finish off Andrew's trilogy? Yes. But the fact that Spider-Man is interacting with other Marvel characters, to me, that's higher on the list. And the general public is going to receive the films better, so yay. Okay. Second part question. If you could do one thing in your life over, what would it be and why? Oh, I hate these kind of questions. To be honest, one thing over in my life? Not procrastinate too much. More than anything, being a procrastinator has caused a lot of bad things to happen. I always procrastinate to the last minute. And sometimes it comes in super clutch, like I can finish something really fast. But yeah, like when it comes to those sort of things, not procrastinating enough. I mean, not procrastinating at all. And just being a little bit more open for certain things. Like, there were a ton of people who I probably should have been talking to in high school. Mainly in particular, one female that my good friends over here, the one that got away, kind of. But yeah, if I was a little bit more open on certain things, yeah. But hey, we all have that sort of thing happen to us. Okay. Next up, let's see. This one's coming from a fellow person who holds the NGS name, Next Gen Striker. Do you think Suicide Squad will save the DCEU, or will they continue to follow Hack Snyder? Oh, he's got two other questions, but first I'll answer the one about Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, I compare that to Miles Morales. Miles Morales looks better than Peter Parker's run by comparison, since they're not fucking up as much. That's the thing with Suicide Squad. Realistically, Suicide Squad, it looks good in the sense that it's probably going to be better than BVS, but I don't really see anything interesting happening. It's just, like, this is the prime example of dark and gritty for the sake of dark and gritty. I know we're going to get some DC Damage Control Force people over here saying, well, not everything has to be lighthearted and blah, 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 but it's like, yo, you mentioned humor, or you showed the damn sun in a DC movie, and you can't have that. You cannot friggin' have that. Like, can we have an all-around, well-rounded, nice movie? I mean, I'm just looking at everything, and everybody outside of Harley Quinn and friggin' the Joker looks so generic. Like, that's bad. That is bad. That is friggin' bad. Like, you want these things to pop out and everybody to look interesting. It's like, nah, Nah, it's gonna be dark and muddy and just blah. And just in general, like, I don't know. I think it'll be good, better than BVS, but I have no hope for Warner Brothers after that movie, because that was supposed to be their tentpole film, the film that was supposed to kick things off, and it didn't do so hot. I mean, regardless of whether or not you like the movie, I liked Amazing Spider-Man 2. I know a lot of people didn't, but it did not do what it was supposed to do. Admit that for BVS. I'm a Spider-Man fanboy, and I will admit that about Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's just, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. It just, seeing all the stuff coming from DC just drains me. That's sad. Will they continue to follow Zack Snyder, though? I don't know. I mean, I've been hearing some internal discussions from people that Warner Brothers was not happy, and they were actually surprised at the reception for BVS, both critically and commercially, that Justice League Part 1 is going to be Snyder's last chance, and that will depend, that'll set the things going forward on whether or not they keep him on board for Justice League Part 2 and beyond, because, yeah, man, it ain't looking too hot for him. People don't like his interpretation of things. It's just not what we need to build up a universe in the right way. Not at all. Top 10 anime. Oh, boy. Again, like the other anime question, kind of hard for me to do that. Favorite junk food. Oh, man. Why? As a person who loves food, why? I love ice cream, Ben & Jerry's, Cold Stone, what have you. Mint chocolate chip is best, followed by chocolate chip cookie dough, and then cookies and cream. Oof, I love potato chips. Duh, I love pizza. Like, I just hate this question. It's like favorite junk food. Everything. That's gonna be my new answer to things. Alrighty, let's see. Next question comes from Shattered Logic. Do you have a nonsensical pet peeve? Ooh, something that annoys me that really shouldn't, or something that I just do by default? Something that really annoys me is when people strawman things. It's like when you're talking about something, and then someone picks the 0.111% chance to try to prove you wrong. Like, for example, when you say something like the Wii U is not going to have any games for the next 11 months, and people say, no, it's not true, we have Lego Star Wars, and I'm just sitting to myself like, really? Really? Like, I hate when people do stuff like that. It's annoying as all hell. Another thing is when people like to generalize some of the things you say for no reason. It's like if you say something like, oh, I didn't like Batman vs. Superman. Oh, that must mean you're a Marvel fanboy. Nevertheless, you didn't even have to say anything about BVS and people just go assume stuff. Yeah, mainly things like those. Those get on my nerves a lot. Something else I find annoying about certain people. I hate people who put all their personal stuff on social media, like all their relationship drama and how they're subtweeting the heck out of folks. That shit just gets really annoying. I'm like, dude, keep it off the internet. I mean, I know you're trying to get them to see what you're saying, but nah, man. At them. I will at people if I have some beef to say. I've added Dan Slott before, and he blocked me because of that. Sensitive folks. I hate people who are sensitive who cannot form a general conversation. Folks who over here start doing personal attacks instead of actually talking about things. Yeah, just noticing all those things. I know it's not really a pet peeve per se, but it gets on my nerves. Okay. This one comes from Miracle Fireman. If Netflix made a new Batman animated series, should be dark and violent and be connected to the Young Justice universe. I would love for them to make a really good Batman animated series, and if you need to go dark, go dark. Like, that's the one thing I wish we could have some of these stories like Death in the Family done. I wish we could have that done in an animated series. I really do. But, you know, the general consensus is that if we're going to sell Batman through animation, it's got to be kiddie and friendly, because the number one end goal at the end of the day for these companies is to sell toys. They're not trying to make this animation to appease to the fans. As messed up as that sounds, it's the truth, guys. It's the truth. Should it be connected to the Young Justice universe? I mean, heck, if Netflix revives Young Justice and they actually take it to do some pretty dark things, by all means, man, build up the DC animated universe again. Like, you have this reboot, do it. Just don't base it off the New 52 or the Rebirth or whatever they're having. Have you ever watched or read Watchmen, the director's cut? If so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, I actually own the director's cut on Blu-ray, and I have the book in the back right there. I enjoyed Watchmen. I thought it was great. If you want to get down to specifics, it's the most faithful comic book movie out there, mainly because it's like a page-for-page thing. And it's very divisive too. Like, a lot of people either like it or they hate it. It's literally, when you're reading a book, they translated that to the screen. And for that sort of narrative, I don't think it works that well, because it does tend to get very dry. But I freaking loved it. I really enjoyed the movie a lot. I mean, I know it has its big major difference towards the end. But if you want to read it and experience it in the way it was meant to be seen, definitely go pick up the original graphic novel. I enjoyed that. I haven't touched any of the other stuff they've been doing, like the Before Watchmen, and I've heard the rumors about them potentially doing a TV series of Watchmen, so we'll see what they do about that. This one comes from, oh man, I still cannot pronounce your name to this day, bro. X Eston. I hope I pronounced it right. Why do you think Marvel took Inhumans off their release schedule? This is not entirely true. A lot of people saw that Marvel had been pushing back Inhumans they took that for many reasons. Like, oh, this means that Marvel has no faith in the Inhumans. Oh, this means that the X-Men are coming back. We don't know why they keep pushing back the movie. There's only one reason, though, why we could assume they are. It's because they have to incorporate other movies into the universe. Two in particular. Spider-Man Homecoming and Ant-Man and the Wasp. The Inhumans was announced before we got both of those movies, and as we've seen, Ant-Man was a big success. It grossed more than $500 million, and Spider-Man was announced as part of the MCU. They got a new movie. So I could see why they push back the Inhumans if they have to accommodate these important things. And considering that Spider-Man is on a deadline with Sony, like you have to put out 2 movies before 2020, I don't think Marvel wants to do more than 3 films a year. So if them pushing that back to like 2020 and beyond, yeah, sure. To be honest, I think the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a good place to start introducing all of the Inhumans. I think they started doing that. Then again, I'm not caught up, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's part of the reason why. But like I said, who knows? Things will change in the next couple of years. 2 years ago, we did not know that Spider-Man was going to be in the MCU. 2 years ago, we didn't know that Ant-Man was going to get a sequel. So yeah, man, just be aware of what's happening and stop making all of these friggin' speculations. Like, oh my god, this means that the rights are coming back. No, it does not. Oh god. Here we go. I gotta scroll through some stuff because I was talking about the Ratchet and Clank film since it came out then. Yeah, this is a lot about the Ratchet and Clank. Oh my. I hope this is not like the last question. It might be. Yeah, I think this is the last question. Wow. Yeah, I think because I asked this question right before I posted my review for Ratchet and Clank. So I guess that's the last one for now. I know a lot of people are probably going to... Yeah, this is definitely the last question for now because it got into all kinds of Twitter beef and we were talking about BVS's box office disappointment. So yeah, that's the last question for this edition of Ask Neo Q&A. I know if I posted up another tweet saying, hey, ask more questions, we probably would have got more, but this is pretty good. We got an hour in. It's good enough footage to upload for the channel. Thank you guys so much for the subscribers, the followers, the family, everybody. You know, I appreciate everybody who comments, positive or negative. I respond to it. I approve it. I don't care because you have a right to your opinion. You have a right to your voice. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. DC fanboys. And yeah, from me to you for now, I'm NGS signing out. If you haven't followed me on Twitter already, then definitely do that. My Twitter account is right there down below. And yeah, from me to you for now, I'm NGS signing out. Like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.